Hello, everyone. Welcome to Durrett. Let's get started. So, as promised, I'm going to go over my top 10 college football games of the week and go over my predictions for all of them. So, let's start with the biggest game of the week is obviously 12 Oregon versus 3 Ohio State. Both 1-0 teams. That's on all these times are noon Eastern, by the way, noon of Fox. I thought, as I said in my last podcast, I think Ohio State wins this game. That's what I thought before the season, based off week one. I'm more sure of that now than ever. Now, Ohio State's not elite on defense anymore, but they don't have to be. Specifically against Oregon, like they can just be, their good enough defense in their offense with a new QB and who still has all those good weapons at receiver, running back, and a top 5 offensive line in the country. They can just go ahead and do their thing. Now, if Oregon lost also their best defender, Thibodeau, defensive for Oregon, so I feel like, and the fact that they only beat Fresno State by 7, I just don't see them, making this close. Now, if Ohio State, is kind of like neck and neck with them in the first half, like it was against Minnesota before they started pulling away the second half, I can see that, and that's fine. But in the end, Ohio State will win, and I have them winning 45-24. 2, you got 10 Iowa 1-0 versus 9 Iowa State 1-0. So the big Iowa rivalry here. As I said before, I know Iowa State narrowly beat Northern Iowa, and I know that's a little bit concerning. But like I said, as much good Coach Campbell is, he is very bad in September. So if I were Iowa State in the future, I would try to, if you can get this rivalry done in October or November or later on in the season when you're more sure of yourself and all that. But Iowa's definitely had the winning streak here. And while Iowa State's favored in this game, I feel like Iowa should win this game. Now, if they barely beat Indiana last week, then that's one thing. But the fact that they destroyed Indiana last week, who's a top 50 program last year, and I think is at least a top 25 program again this year, the fact that they just destroy them makes me feel like Iowa State's not going to be able to do enough to win this game. So I'm extending the winning streak for Iowa here, and have Iowa State's playoff resume take a big here, and New Year's Six resume take a big hit here, having Iowa winning by 8, 28-20. 3, you got 21 Utah 1-0 versus BYU. Again, anything can happen in a rivalry game. And over the years, if one or two plays would have gone differently, then the Cougars would have at least broken the streak by now. Before the season, I gave BYU a great chance for the upset. Now, I didn't pick them, but I had give them a great chance for the upset. But right now, just the injury bug is really concerning. They have 2 starters out, a cornerback and a wide receiver out. They had 4 starters sit out during the Arizona game, 2 wide receivers and Kua brothers transferred from Utah, Washington, respectively, and then a starting linebacker and then their starting kicker. So you're going to need, the 2 that got injured, you're not going to see them this week most likely, but the other 4 that sat out last week, most of them, the coach thinks will be able to play, but they need to be playing if BYU wants to have any chance of winning here. Now, the Arizona game is much closer, 8 points. You figure it'd be BYU winning by more, but I feel like that's a good Arizona because I feel like under Jetfish they're improving and all that. But then also BYU's just being really conservative and to prepare for Utah. But I feel like this game, like most of the rivalry games do in the series, will come down to one possession in Provo. But in the end, Utah will survive here, have them winning 27-20. 4, you got Washington 0-1 versus Michigan 1-0. I was looking forward to this matchup until Washington got exposed against Montana. Now, I do think that was a wake-up call for them. So I'm not saying Washington's now going to go 3-9 this year. But instead of 9-3, like I thought, maybe it's 7-5, 6-6 or something like that. Michigan, while they lost a key playmaker in offense last week, they didn't mess around against an underrated G5 team in Western Michigan. They took care of business, dominated, which is good to see them. Because Washington will play more with urgency this time, Michigan has known in the past to, not play with sense of urgency at times, especially in a game where they think they're going to win. That can make it competitive to a degree, but I feel like in the second half, especially Michigan's will just start pouring it on and at home and get the win in the Big House. I have Michigan winning 34-16. 5, you got 5 Texas A&M 1-0 versus Colorado 1-0. So these are old Big 12 foes here. It's nice to see them play each other like the old days. A lot of people assume A&M will blow Colorado out, favored by 17. I think since this is in Colorado, the elevation comes into play here, and that makes it a little more interesting, makes things harder for A&M. Also, while Colorado secondary is not that strong, they do have a good run defense, and we know the Aggies love to run the ball first and foremost, so they can make A&M just more of a one-dimensional passing type of offense than Colorado can make this very competitive and interesting. I think A&M survives here, but not with ease. I have A&M winning 28-23. 6, you got 15 Texas 1-0 versus Arkansas 1-0. I do think Arkansas has that, SEC physicality that can give Texas, more of a finesse team some problems. However, since Sarkisian just came from Bama, he can help guide the players through some of those issues. With Texas clearly having the better talent here, especially running back, I think they go on to win this game. I have them winning 37-20. 7, you get Missouri 1-0 versus Kentucky 1-0. I think this is the battle for third place here in the SEC East Division. Maybe one of these teams can contend with Florida, maybe Georgia for that overall division spot, but it's most likely going to be a third place battle here. Both teams played easy opponents in their first week, so it's a little bit hard to judge. But what I did notice is that Kentucky looks like they actually have a QB first and foremost. But second of all, Kentucky dominated their opponent Louisiana Monroe, unlike Missouri, who barely beat Central Michigan at home. So that's kind of concerning for me, especially since it's at home. Kentucky has better defense here. I'm going to go with Kentucky here, 31-20. 8, I got Stanford 0-1 versus 14 USC. So based off last week, Stanford may be for a long night here. Again, while USC has other rivals like UCLA, Notre Dame, Stanford's a real rivalry for them. So that alone can make this a close game. Than it should. Also, Stanford, I believe, is going to be starting a different quarterback this time for game 2. So maybe that brings a different element of surprise there. But I feel like USC's talent in the second half specifically will start to take off like it did last week. And that leaves Stanford, who would be 0-2 at this point, looking for answers. I have USC winning 31-14. 9, I got NC State 1-0 versus Mississippi State 1-0. This is a low-key important matchup for both schools here. For Clemson, they need a high-quality opponent here, and if the Wolfpack can beat or even dominate an SEC team here, then that will help receive the strength conference just a little bit more, and that can help NC State bolt, into top 25 kind of potential status, because they were hovering around that at the end of last year. And then for Mississippi State, this is very important because with a tough SEC slate, if you lose this game, it's going to be very hard just to get bowl eligible, in my opinion. And Mississippi State, they played a tale of two halves last game against Louisiana Tech. If they played like they did in the first half, NC State wins this one easily. If they play like they did in the second half, then Mississippi State wins. I think the Wolfpack will start off strong here, but then Mississippi State will make a comeback like they did last game against Louisiana Tech. But I feel like this time the comeback falls up short, and NC State wins 28-27 in a close game there. Last but not least, I got California 0-1 versus TCU 1-0. California losing to Nevada makes this matchup less appealing, in all honesty, to put it bluntly, but it's still a good one. Reason being, they both play the same brand of football. Tough defense, just don't mess up on offense, grind it out to win games, like that Penn State-Wisconsin game we saw last week. Their bowl game from 3 years ago, the final score was like 6-9. It was very defensive type of game there. While I do think both defenses will shine once again in this matchup, I think a little more scoring this time, specifically for the home offense, will be in store here. As I feel the line, which TCU is favored by 11, spot on here, and I have TCU at home getting the win to get themselves in the top 25 next week. I have TCU winning 24-13. So now, as I did last week, I'm going to be going over my top 3 games that, even though I don't bet, like if you were a betting man, this is something to consider. One is, and all these games I actually just mentioned. So you already kind of know the results, but the first one is Oregon versus Ohio State. Ohio State's favored by 14 points. Again, I just don't feel like Oregon can make it close, especially the way they played in Week 1, losing Thibodeau and all that at Ohio State. And then Oregon, Pacific team won Ohio State, so like an early start for them, which is a recipe for disaster usually for Pacific teams. So I feel like Ohio State will win Again, I had Ohio State winning by like 21, I think. So if I were you, I'd take the over here. And the next one, you have 5 Texas A&M versus Colorado. Again, A&M's favored by 17. With everything I just said earlier, elevation, Colorado run defense. I feel like that's just too much points there. So even though I take A&M for one, I'm going to take Colorado there to go. So I go the under here. And then the last one, is the 10 Iowa versus 9 Iowa State. Iowa State's favored by 4.5. But again, I feel like this is a game where Iowa covers, if not just wins straight up outright, because I feel like they're the more better team as of right now. So I'm going to take Iowa to keep that streak alive. So thank you very much for listening to my podcast today. Please subscribe to my channel, tell everyone about me. I might make one more podcast for the weekends, but if not, then I'll look forward to coming back with a whole bunch of different topics for next week after another weekend of college football and the first weekend of NFL football. Thank you very much for listening to my podcast today, and you have a wonderful day.